All right, so are you ready for this? We're diving into a case today that's, well, it's going to have you questioning everything.
Oh, yeah.
You think you know about solving a murder. It's the story of this 15-year-old girl, Annie Casperac, murdered in Draper, Utah. And you found us
Some good sources.
some really good sources. We have a podcast episode, court records.
Even interviews with the lead detective.
Yeah, so think of this as like
A deep dive.
like we're piecing together a puzzle and
Yeah, and with this case...
each clue, each twist.
Yeah, what's interesting about this case is that the initial investigation went down a completely wrong path.
It brings us closer to the truth,
It shows how assumptions can really just derail even the most experienced investigators.
doesn't it? It makes you wonder how often this actually happens.
Yeah.
But before we get ahead of ourselves, I think we need to kind of meet Annie. You know, she's not just a case file.
Right.
She was a daughter, a sister, a friend, dreams, anxieties, a whole life ahead of her.
And a past that, quite frankly, no teenager should have to endure. Imagine dealing with all the normal ups and downs of being a teenager, but then also just carrying the weight of abuse and instability
From your childhood.
from your childhood.
Yeah, heartbreaking.
It is. But amidst all those challenges, Annie finds a loving home with Veronica, her adoptive mother.
With Veronica.
Veronica's a former caseworker, goes above and beyond, provides Annie with therapy and support to address all the trauma that she'd experienced.
I mean, it really speaks volumes about the power of love and dedicated care to help someone overcome
Yeah,
a difficult past.
it really does.
And for a while, things were looking up for Annie. She's navigating the world of first love. We even have a diary entry from her
Oh, wow.
about their first meeting with Chris Bagshaw.
That's so great.
It's really a reminder of, the normalcy of her teenage experiences,
right.
which makes the tragedy that follows so devastating.
Yeah, that diary entry read aloud during the sentencing. It just adds a layer of human connection, you know? That's often lost in these true crime cases.
It really does.
Yeah,
It reminds us that this isn't just a story, it's a real life,
it is.
cut short.
Yeah.
Now picture this. March 11, 2012. A jogger is out for their morning run along the Jordan River.
Okay.
Peaceful scene, but instead they stumble upon something horrifying.
Oh, no.
Large pools of blood and a single red shoe in the water.
That 911 call? Chilling. The jogger's description of piles of blood immediately raises red flags.
Yes, and at this point it's a complete mystery. So the police launch an investigation. Helicopter search leads them to a body along the riverbank.
Along the riverbank.
Initially, they think it's an adult woman, possibly a jogger who had an accident.
It's interesting how quickly our minds try to just make sense of the unknown.
Right.
Like jumping to the most plausible explanation, even if it's wrong.
Even if it's wrong, yeah.
Yeah.
And in this case, that assumption was shattered when Veronica reports Annie missing.
Oh, wow.
The description of Annie's clothes, particularly those red shoes that her dad had just bought her. It leads to a gut-wrenching realization. The body by the river is Annie.
Oh, gosh.
And this is where the investigation takes its first dramatic turn. Remember Chris, Annie's boyfriend. He told police that Annie had mentioned running away with a guy named LJ.
Oh, really? So LJ becomes a prime suspect.
LJ becomes a prime suspect.
And you can see that from the investigator's perspective. I mean, teenagers have their own social circles, their own secrets that adults aren't privy to. So focusing on LJ seems
It's logical.
totally logical.
Right. And then a week later, an eyewitness comes forward. Claims to have seen a girl matching Annie's description
Wow.
at a party. Hosted by a man named Daniel Ferry, who, you guessed it, goes by LJ, short for Little Joe.
So they have a suspect with a matching nickname.
Right.
And an eyewitness placing a girl who looks like Annie at his party.
At his party. It seems like the pieces are falling into place. Right. So this eyewitness describes a scene where Daniel allegedly assaults the girl after she rejects his advances.
Oh, wow.
And others at the party help him dispose of the body.
Oh, my gosh.
So police get a search warrant for Daniel's house. And they find what appears to be blood,
They find blood.
further solidifying their suspicions.
It's classic confirmation bias. You know,
Correct.
they're looking for evidence to support their initial theory, and unfortunately, they kind of find it.
And they find it
But this is where the importance of that forensic evidence comes in.
because,
Yeah.
surprise, surprise,
Oh, no.
the forensic results come back.
Yeah.
And the blood they found, well, a lot of it wasn't even blood.
Oh, wow.
And none of it matched Annie's DNA.
So a major setback.
Talk about a major setback.
It's a reminder that investigations shouldn't be driven by gut feelings.
Right.
or convenient narratives, but, concrete, verifiable
Evidence. And it could have easily led to a wrongful conviction if they hadn't waited for those forensic results.
It could have.
And it makes you think about, the ethical implications for the detective.
Absolutely.
And the potential damage to, public trust when an investigation goes wrong like that.
It does.
But for the investigators in Annie's case, they're back to square one.
Back to square one.
And then, tragedy strikes the Draper Police Department.
What happened?
Sergeant Derek Johnson,
Okay.
the lead detective on Annie's case, is killed in the line of duty during a seemingly routine traffic stop.
It's a stark reminder of the inherent dangers of police work. And the ripple effects of violence extend so far beyond the initial act. In this case, Sergeant Johnson's death not only leaves a void in the department, but it really impacts the investigation.
Yeah, and it's a devastating loss,
It is.
both personally and professionally.
Yeah.
So Jaclyn Moore, the detective that had been working alongside Derek, is now tasked with taking over the investigation.
Oh, wow.
Imagine the pressure she must have felt.
I know.
A young detective
Right.
leading a high-profile murder case
Yeah.
that's already hit a major dead end.
Instead of being overwhelmed by it all, Jaclyn takes a really methodical approach. She goes back to basics, combing through every detail of Annie's life, searching for any clue that might lead them to the killer.
And that's where she stumbles upon something intriguing. Remember Annie's note about being P,
Right.
which turned out to be a lie about a pregnancy?
Right.
Well, that lie was told to none other than Chris, her boyfriend.
So this raises some questions. Could this teenage relationship have been more complicated
Oh, yeah.
than initially thought? And could that pregnancy lie be like a key piece of the puzzle?
It definitely throws a wrench into things. We also learned that Chris had a difficult childhood himself. His parents had him at a very young age.
That detail is really significant. It suggests that Chris might have been particularly sensitive to the idea of repeating his parents' mistakes. Maybe even fearful of it.
Right. And then there's the note that investigators found in Chris's trash can.
In the trash.
It's a detailed list of everything he told the police during his initial interview.
So why would a seemingly innocent teenager feel the need to, meticulously document every word he said to the police?
It's suspicious, to say the least.
It is.
But here's the catch. Even with these new developments,
Right.
there's still no concrete evidence
Okay.
directly linking Chris to the murder. And Jaclyn, determined to get the training she needs to crack this case, makes a really proactive decision.
She recognizes her limitations, and she takes concrete steps to address them. It's a testament to her commitment to professional development
Right.
and her determination to find justice for Annie.
She enrolls in advanced homicide investigation courses.
Wow.
She even seeks out experts in cell phone data analysis.
Oh, wow.
Remember how Annie's cell phone records initially placed Chris miles away from the crime scene
Right.
on the night of the murder?
Yeah.
Well, during her training, Jaclyn learns that cell phone data can be tricky.
Oh.
Factors like weak signals can cause a phone to ping off towers that are farther away
Right.
than the user's actual location.
Yeah, this is where technology and expert analysis become really valuable tools.
It is.
And Jaclyn's willingness to learn and apply this new knowledge proves to be a game changer.
It's fascinating, isn't it? How something as seemingly simple as cell phone data can be so complex.
It really is. It highlights the importance of staying up to date with technological advancements in criminal investigations.
It does.
And Jaclyn's dedication to this aspect of the case proves to be crucial in unraveling the truth.
It does.
Yeah.
And remember, Jaclyn isn't working this case alone.
Right.
She meets a cell phone data expert during her training.
Oh, wow.
He's intrigued by Annie's case and offers to help.
That's great.
They even bring in a special machine that can replicate Chris's phone.
Really?
And they drive around trying to reproduce those signal patterns from the night of the murder.
So they're conducting a real-world experiment,
Yeah.
trying to match those digital footprints to the physical locations.
Exact.
That's fascinating.
And the results.
Well,
They're only able to replicate those exact patterns within 10 feet of where Annie's body was found.
talk about narrowing down the possibilities.
So now, placing Chris at the crime scene,
Right.
even indirectly through his phone activity, shifts the focus of the investigation significantly.
It does.
And it gets even better.
Okay.
Remember that call Veronica made to Chris when Annie first went missing?
Yeah.
Well, that call where Chris denied knowing where Annie was pinged off a tower right near the murder scene.
So we have two separate instances now of Chris's phone connecting to the network near the murder scene.
On the night of her disappearance.
Yeah. Paints a very different picture than the one he initially presented.
It does. But even with this mounting evidence, Jaclyn faces some skepticism
Oh, really?
within the police department.
Oh, wow.
Some still doubt that this seemingly average teenager could have committed such a brutal crime.
It speaks to the power of perception and how difficult it can be to reconcile someone's outward appearance with the potential for violence.
Yeah, but Jaclyn, armed with the facts and driven by her desire for justice,
Right.
presses forward. She presents her findings to the district attorney, and this time they're convinced. An arrest warrant is issued for Chris Bagshaw.
This highlights a crucial aspect of any investigation, building a solid case that goes beyond circumstantial evidence.
Right.
Jaclyn's approach, her ability to present the facts persuasively, ultimately leads to this breakthrough.
And remember, Chris had moved to Colorado after Annie's murder.
Oh, right.
So Jaclyn and her team coordinate with the Colorado police to apprehend him.
Okay.
They track him down,
Wow.
confirm his identity,
Uh-huh.
and finally, after 2.5 years, the call is made to Veronica. It's done.
Wow, that must have been an incredibly emotional moment for Veronica.
Oh, yeah.
Just a mix of relief, validation,
Absolutely.
maybe even a sense of closure knowing that the person responsible for Annie's death was finally facing justice.
But as we know, an arrest is just the first step.
Right.
The case now moves toward trial, and everyone is bracing for what could be a long and grueling legal battle.
Right. It's a whole other phase of the process, its
Right.
own set of challenges and uncertainties.
But then, just months before the trial is set to begin,
Yeah.
something unexpected happens.
What's that?
Another inmate comes forward with information about Chris.
Oh, wow. So this is where we see how the ripple effects of a crime can extend even within the prison walls.
Yeah, this inmate claims that Chris, who had a reputation for being religious, confessed to him,
Oh, wow.
seeking forgiveness for what he had done.
And what did he say?
The details he revealed are chilling.
This jailhouse confession is really a significant development because it corroborates the physical evidence that Jaclyn had meticulously gathered,
Yeah.
provides a first-hand account of what happened that night at the river.
It's a disturbing glimpse into the mind of the perpetrator
Right.
and the events leading up to Annie's death.
It's important to note that these jailhouse confessions should always be treated with caution. Potential motivations for inmates to fabricate information.
Right.
But in this case, the details Chris shared, they aligned with the evidence Jaclyn had already uncovered.
So Chris consulted that he lured Annie to the river under false pretenses, telling her to write that note
Oh, wow.
about running away to California.
Wow.
He even brought a shovel, claiming they would dig a hole to stay warm.
It's just a calculated and manipulative act,
Right.
preying on Annie's vulnerability and her desire for a fresh start.
But the ground was frozen solid, and Chris's true intentions became clear. He flew into a rage and attacked Annie, striking her repeatedly with the shovel.
Oh my God.
The brutality of the attack, as described in his confession, is just unimaginable.
It's a horrific act of violence. Speaks to a level of rage and brutality that's difficult to comprehend.
He even admitted to placing the tip of the shovel on her forehead and stomping on it to silence her cries.
Oh, that's awful.
And the detail about Annie pleading for her life,
Oh, gosh.
telling him she loved him,
Oh my God.
just adds another layer of heartbreak to this already tragic story.
It's a stark reminder of the victim's humanity and the devastating impact of this crime.
And then, in a surprising turn of events, Chris's attorney announces that his client intends to plead guilty to first-degree murder.
Wow.
The trial that everyone was preparing for never happens.
So he's sentenced.
Instead, Chris is sentenced to 15 years to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 15 years.
While a plea bargain may feel a little anticlimactic after such a lengthy investigation,
Yeah.
it does offer a measure of closure to the case.
Right.
It spares Annie's family the trauma of reliving those horrific details in a public trial.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a bittersweet victory for Jaclyn,
Right.
who had poured her heart and soul into this investigation, faced skepticism, setbacks, even personal tragedy along the way.
Right.
But in the end, she helped bring Annie's killer to justice.
It's a testament to her perseverance and her dedication to seeking the truth, no matter how difficult or complex the path. She fought against biases, pursued advanced training, and she never gave up on finding answers for Annie and her family.
And this case had a profound impact on her, both professionally and personally.
It did.
She became an advocate for victims, sharing Annie's story to highlight the importance of recognizing and addressing intimate partner violence.
Yeah.
She even used her experience to train other officers, urging them to be aware of their own biases and to follow the evidence wherever it leads.
It's inspiring to see how Jaclyn channeled the pain of this case into positive action, using her experience to create meaningful change within the law enforcement community and beyond.
But even with the conviction, there are no real winners in a story like this.
Right.
Annie's life was cut tragically short.
It
Her
was.
potential forever unrealized.
Yeah.
Her family is left to grapple with the unimaginable pain of losing a daughter and sister.
It's a poignant reminder of the devastating ripple effects of violence,
Yeah.
impacting not only the immediate victim, but also their loved ones, the community,
Right.
and even those involved in the investigation and prosecution.
One of the most powerful moments during the sentencing was when Veronica, Annie's mother, read aloud from Annie's diary.
Oh, wow.
She shared a passage where Annie described meeting Chris for the first time.
Oh.
A seemingly innocent encounter that took on a heartbreaking significance
Yeah.
in light of everything that happened.
It's a stark contrast. The youthful hope and innocence of that first meeting,
Right.
juxtaposed against the brutal reality of Annie's fate, serves as a powerful reminder of all that was lost.
And it reinforces the idea that behind every true crime case, there are real people with real lives forever changed by the events that unfolded.
Absolutely.
Annie's story, as tragic as it is, underscores the importance of a thorough investigation,
It does.
the need to question assumptions,
Right.
and the power of perseverance in the pursuit of justice.
Absolutely. It also highlights the importance of ongoing education and training within the criminal justice system.
It does.
The advancements in technology, particularly in areas like cell phone data analysis, can be crucial in solving these complex cases.
Absolutely. And while we can't change the past, Annie's case serves as a powerful reminder for all of us to be more vigilant,
Yeah.
to question our assumptions, and to never give up on seeking the truth.
It's a call to action to be more aware of the subtle signs of potential violence in our own lives and communities, and to speak up when something doesn't feel right.
You know, it's cases like this that really make you think about those what-ifs.
Absolutely. Like, what if Annie hadn't told that lie about being pregnant?
Right.
Or what if Chris had sought help for his own struggles?
Right.
What if Sergeant Johnson had never been killed? It's just this tangled web of circumstances that ultimately lead to this devastating outcome.
It really makes you realize how fragile life can be and how seemingly small choices can have such profound consequences.
Absolutely. And while we can't change the past, we can learn from it.
Right.
This case really underscores the importance of recognizing the signs of potential violence, both in our personal relationships and in our communities.
It's a reminder that we all have a role to play in creating a safer world.
It really is. And it also highlights the lasting impact of violence.
Yeah.
You know, the ripples, they extend so far beyond the immediate victim, touching families, friends, investigators, even the perpetrator.
Right.
It's a web of interconnected lives forever altered by a single act.
So as we kind of resurface from this deep dive into the tragic murder of Annie Casperac, what are your takeaways? What stands out to you? What aspects of this case would you have explored further if you were in Jaclyn's shoes?
It's a case that stays with you, for sure. It prompts reflection on the complexities of human behavior, the importance of thorough investigation, and the pursuit of justice even in the face of unimaginable tragedy.
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
Share your insights, your questions, anything that resonated with you from this deep dive.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the conversation going.